Hello and welcome to another daily practice material video. My name is Raj Thakkar. You're watching Route 99. This is DPM 19 and we're analyzing an RC today. Let's read the passage. Four important ideas emerged from McCusick's taxonomy of genetic diseases. Okay, so four important ideas came out of this theory or this book from McCusick's. Right, first was that he realized that mutation in a single gene can cause diverse manifestation of a disease in diverse organs. So he argued that mutation in a single gene can cause diseases in diverse organs. There could be a cascading effect on various organs. Second, so he endorsed or he gave four ideas, four important ideas, out of which the first was this. This is second. Second, the precise converse. Second, just the opposite of first, precise converse. Surprisingly was also true. Multiple genes could influence a single aspect of physiology. So like single gene can affect various organs. Similarly, various genes could also affect a single organ. How come? Let's find out. Blood pressure, for instance, is regulated through a variety of genetic circuits and abnormalities. In one or many ways, these circuits all result in the same disease, hypertension. So, blood pressure is regulated through various genetic circuits. So if all of these genetic circuits, various genes started changing together, they all would contribute to change in the blood pressure, right? And it is perfectly accurate to say hypertension is a genetic disease. And maybe this hypertension occurs because of BP, and that is why it is accurate to say that hypertension is a genetic disease. Although but to also add, there is no gene for hypertension, but there is no specific gene that cause hypertension, but changes in various genes altogether led to hypertension, firstly BP and ultimately hypertension. So although there is no specific gene which causes hypertension, hypertension is essentially a genetic disease. Many genes tug and push the pressure of blood in the body like a tangle of strings controlling a puppet's arm. So, because blood pressure is affected by the change in various in various genes, these genes act as a tug and push, like it would be the case with strings attached to a puppet, right? McCusick's third insight concerned the penetrance and expressivity of genes in human disease. So his third point was penetrance and expressivity. What did he mean by penetrance and expressivity? Fruit fly geneticists and worm biologists had discovered that certain genes only become actualized in the phenotype depending upon the environmental trigger or random chance. So this could be expressivity, that the gene only express itself under certain circumstances. It could be some environmental trigger or some random chance, right? A gene that causes facets to appear in fruity fly eye, for instance, is temperature dependent. So he has given an example that this particular gene activates only in the presence of certain degree of temperature, and it is temperature dependent. Another gene variant change in morphology of a worm's intestine, but only does so in about 20% of the worms. So there is also this. He is giving another example that there is also this gene variant which changes the morphology of a worm, but it occurs only in 20% of the worms. Now, why he has written 20%? That we have to find out. Incomplete. Okay, he is now explaining incomplete penetrance. This means that even if a mutation was present in the genome, its capacity to penetrate into a physical or morphological feature was not always complete. So this is the relevance of this example. That if you would see a worm, he has this particular gene variant which can change its morphology, but this occurs only in 20% of the worm. That is due to incomplete penetration, right? McCurrick found several examples of incomplete penetrance in human diseases. For some disorders such as Tay-Sachs disease, penetrance was largely complete. The inheritance of the gene mutation virtually guaranteed the development of the disease. But for other human disease, the actual effect of a gene of the disorder was more complex. In breast cancer, inheritance of the mutant BRCA1 gene increases the risk of blood cancer dramatically. But not all women with mutation will develop breast cancer. So you see, the level of penetration of each gene or each inherited gene is different for different genes. So there are some genes like genes which causes the disease Tay-Sachs. So in those cases, if you have inherited the gene which causes Tay-Sachs, the chances are 100% that you would get Tay-Sachs. But if you have inherited this breast cancer causing gene BRCA1, you might or you might not get breast cancer, right? So this is incomplete penetration. The fourth insight is quite pivotal to this story. So it is the fourth is very important. McCusick understood that mutation are just variation. Exactly, that is what mutation are. Isn't it very obvious? Okay. The statement sounds like a bland truism. Okay, it does sound like bland truism. It does sound very obvious. But it conveys an essential and profound truth. Okay, what is that truth? A mutation, McCusick realizes, a statistical entity, not a pathological or moral one. A mutation does not imply diseases, nor does it specify gain or loss of function. In formal sense, a mutation is defined only by its deviation from the norm. The opposite of mutant is not normal but wild type. Okay, so McCusick argued that mutation is nothing but just a variation, and it does not say whether it can benefit you or it can put you at loss. It is just variation. It is just something different from the normal, right? And the opposite of mutant is not normal. The opposite of mutant is wild type. Okay, the wild type is the type of variant found more commonly in the wild. A mutation is thus a statistical rather than normative concept. It is not a concept which tells something is bad or good. Rather, it is a concept which says that something is going different from the trend. What has been understood till this point, right? It is not. It is something abnormal. So it does not tell you whether this change is good or bad, but it of course cites that there has been some change. By itself, then a mutant or mutation can provide no real information about a disease or disorder. Okay, so mutant or mutation cannot tell you whether you have this particular disease or disorder or not, right? The definition of diseases rests rather on the specific disability caused by incongruity between one's genetic endowment and one's current environment. Between a mutation, the circumstances of a person's existence and the person's goal for survival or success. But this disease depends on the specific disability caused by incongruity, means inconsistency of some sort, mismatch, you can say. Let's just simply say mismatch or incongruity between whom? Between one's genetic endowment and one's environment, right? Okay, his body type, let's say in layman term you would say body type, and one's environment. Between a mutation, the circumstances of a person's existence and the person's goal for survival or success. It is not mutation that ultimately causes a disease, but mismatch. Okay, so the disease is not caused by mutation itself, but if there is a difference between mutation and the environment of the what do we say? The subject. Okay, a child with fiercest variant of autism who spends his day rocking monotonously in a corner or scratching his skin into ulcers possesses an unfortunate genetic endowment that is mismatched to nearly any environment or any goal. So you see, autism is not a disease itself, but what autism is mismatch with what would be acceptable or what would be needed for survival or success in the society, right? It is not a disease itself. It has just made that child different. but it has become a disease. Why? Because it reduces its chances for survival and success. But another child with a different and rather variant of autism may be functional in most situations and possibly hyperfunctional in some, a chess game, say, or a memory contest. His illness is situation. It lies more evidently in the incongruity of his specific genotype and his specific circumstances. Okay. So he has further explained, he has given a different example, a positive example, where autism has proven to be positive for a child. Right. So autism or this change in this variation in variation in gene is not essentially a disease, but the ultimate consequences of that genetic difference or that variation is the disease, right? Let's move on to the questions. Okay, question number 1. The expression a tangle of strings controlling a puppet's arm, right? This is what we read in the first paragraph, I guess, where the author was explaining that BP example, that BP and ultimately hypertension is caused by not one but many organs, or due to many gene variations, right? Why it was used is what was used to explain how music's second insight into genetic disease contradicts the first. How come second insight contradicts the first? Right? What was his first and second insight? His first insight was that single gene can affect various organs, and various organ can affect various gene variation can affect a single organ. How is this a contradiction between the two? This is obviously wrong. Why hypertension isn't strictly speaking a genetic disease? So although this is true, that he was trying to explain that no, he wasn't at all explaining why hypertension is not a genetic disease, right? He used this example to explain the concept that BP is caused by change in various genes, right? Variation in many genes. So this is also not the answer. The physiology isn't controlled by one but several genes at the same time. Yes, this sounds like a good option. That blood pressure is a function of activity of several genes. Although C is very true, D is rather a specific answer. D is exactly for which it was used. So now C explains the concept that physiology isn't controlled by one but several genes at the same time. But this particularly explains that this physiology is blood pressure and it is a function of activity of several genes. Thus, C over D is a better option and D is my correct answer. From the example of breast cancer and Tay-Sachs diseases, it cannot be understood that the penetrance in case of former is incomplete. Okay, former means Tay-Sachs. No, in case of Tay-Sachs, the penetration is complete. Very clearly mentioned here, the penetration was largely complete. Tay-Sachs diseases. So this is wrong. The effect of a gene mutation we were supposed to find cannot be understood, na? Okay, but this talks about breast cancer and Tay-Sachs in this order only. So here breast cancer become my former disease, and hence this is true that Tay-Sachs later is largely complete. In Tay-Sachs it is largely complete. So this can be understood. A little word play. They change the order of breast cancer and Tay-Sachs. Okay. The effect of a gene mutation on the development of a disorder isn't dependent on the inheritance alone. Okay, yes, this is true that the effect of a gene mutation isn't dependent on inheritance alone. There is a play of environment as well. There are various other factors at play as well. Okay, it is possible to identify for most gene mutation whether the mutation guarantees the occurrence of a disorder before the onset of the disorder. Okay, now this we cannot say. For instance, this gene mutation, breast cancer, what was that gene which causes it? BRCA1, right? So, BRCA1 causes breast cancer to only 20% of the women, right? So, the penetration is incomplete. So, how can we assess that whether a gene mutation would cause that particular disorder or not? So, it is not possible to identify for most gene mutation whether that mutation would guarantee the cause of the disease, right? So this is what we cannot understood from the passage. This is what we cannot understood from the example. Some gene variants responsible for specific disorder may not have the penetrance to influence physical or morphological features. Okay, this also we can understood that so if this breast cancer gene causes disease to only 20% of the people, so it is possible that some gene variant might cause specific disorder to some people, but it might do no harm to other people, right? So this is also true. Only the third option does not aligns with the argument made in the passage. The author explains that a mutation is statistical rather than normative concept. Okay, why it is called normative? Normative because it does not tell whether something is good or bad. Right? The presence of mutation does not guarantee the onset of a disorder. Okay, this is true, but this is not the reason why author said that it is statistical rather than normative. Right? Although this is true, true statement, but this is not the reason why this example was given. A mutation by its nature need not to be either beneficial or malicious. Exactly what normative means. So this is my correct option. Environment and not mutation triggers diseases. Not always. And even if that is the case, this is not why this example has been given. Okay, let's consider that this is also true. Now, this is not the case always. It happens sometimes, but even though this is true, this is not the reason why this example is given. This is not the reason why mutation is called statistical. A mutation may manifest differently in individuals based on environment or situational factors. Okay, this is also true, but this does not tell you why it has been called normative, right? Hence, B is my correct option. Which of the following will the author be most likely to approve based on the ideas discussed in the passage? Okay, a research into the correlation between mutation and disease caused by them. Okay. Why would author ask for research which finds out the correlation between mutation and the disease, where author in the whole passage is saying that mutation is not the cause of the disease? Does it make any sense that author would ask for something which he has been arguing against in the whole paragraph? So this is not my answer. A study of the correlation between the penetrance of a gene and the inheritability of the gene. Inheritability of the gene. Why would author ask for a correlation between penetrance of the gene and inheritability of gene? The author has never cited a correlation between the both. There is no relation between inheriting a gene and the gene penetrating your body to cause you a particular disease. So this is also irrelevant to the arguments made in the passage. A research into the possible reasons behind the incomplete penetration of some genes. Now this has some merit. Let's keep this. Option D. An investigation into the situational expression of genetic mutation in varying environments. Why would he want an investigation of situational expression of genetic mutation? He already knows that genes react differently in different or varying environments. What is the purpose of this investigation? Right? This would be like absolutely futile to hold such investigation, because the author already knows that the gene expresses differently in different environments. So this is wrong. So only C among all these options seems like the most likely research the author would approve of, right? Hence C is our option. So that was the passage, guys. I'll see you in the next DPM.